Another type of grammatical question that can be asked is about adjectival clause. Now, what is a clause? A clause usually have the subject and the verb. The subject is the person or the thing doing something in a sentence. I'll give you an example. The learner from an academically enriched background whose parents are highly learned and financially stable and who has constant access to electronic media has a head start over his deprived counterpart from the village. Now, the clause there is whose parents are highly learned and financially stable. How will you know that this is an adjectival clause? First of all, it will have a subject. It has someone or something that we're talking about. It will have a verb. A verb is a doing word, a word that shows action. And then there are some words that help us to identify an adjectival clause or an adjectival phrase. And those words are who, whom, whose, that or which, when, where, or why. I will write out this adjectival clause. Whose parents are highly learned, and financially stable, Now, how will you identify this as an adjectival clause? First of all, it has a subject. What's the subject there? The people or the person or the thing that we're talking about. Whose parents are highly learned and financially stable. We have a noun there, we have a subject, and the subject is parents. We have her there as the verb. And then we have whose, which indicates that that is an adjectival clause. And then finally, it performs the duty of an adjective. What does an adjective do? It describes a noun. It modifies a noun. It tells us more about a noun. Now listen to the sentence again. The learner from an academically enriched background whose parents are highly learned and financially stable and who has constant access to electronic media has a head start over his deprived counterpart from the village. The name of the underlined sentence is adjectival clause. What is its function? You would also be asked the function. What is its function? It is describing the noun learner. What has it said about the learner? It has told us that that learner has parents who are highly learned, and that learner also has parents who are financially stable. These are the things that help us to identify an adjectival clause. Another kind of parts that we can find or sentence that we can find in a sentence is the adverbial clause. How would we identify an adverbial clause? First of all, we'll ask ourselves, what is an adverb? An adverb tells us more about a verb. If I say, for instance, he ran quickly. How did he run? Quickly. Ran is the verb. Ran is the doing thing. The person ran. How did he run? He ran quickly. He slept soundly. How did he sleep? He slept soundly. Did he sleep fitfully? No. Did he sleep just a little? No. How did he sleep? He slept soundly. And so we would just have it at the back of your mind that an adverbial phrase or an adverbial clause will always tell you more about the verb. I'll give you an example of an adverbial clause in a sentence. While he was dictating these words, the Russians had encircled Berlin. Now, the underlined clause there is was dictating these words. How can we identify this as an adverbial clause? We look at what is it doing in that place. Why is it a clause? It's a clause because it has a subject and it has a verb. while he was dictating these words. Was dictating, those are verbs. And then it has the subject, the silent subject, while he is not a part of it, but is there. A subject that is being referred to. While he was dictating these words, the Russians had encircled Berlin. I told you before that an adverb tells you more, much more about a verb. Let's look at the sentence again. While he was dictating these words, the Russians had encircled Berlin. Now, was dictating these words? What is he doing there? It is telling us what he was doing when they were encircling. When they were encircling. Encircling means to go round. They had surrounded. Encircling means to surround the place. So what was happening while they were encircling Berlin? He was dictating these words. Now, that adverbial clause is telling us more about the verb circle. It's telling us what else was happening while that verb, while that action of encircling was going on, while he was dictating these words. And so you would see that that clause tells us more about the verb encircled. And so when you want to answer your question, you would say that it is an adverbial clause. Then you'll be asked, what is its function? It modifies, or it tells us more about the verb. Which verb? Encircle. Today in this lesson, we have learned about how to answer questions on comprehension passages. We have looked at the types of questions that we have under comprehension passages. We have looked at their features. We looked at the direct question. We said that the answer is usually in the passage. We looked at the inferential question. We said that the answer is supposed to be reasoned out. We're supposed to think it out. We looked at the figure of speech. We're going to be giving examples of figure of speech in use, and we're supposed to identify it, to identify if it's a metaphor, simile, euphemism, rhetorical question. And then we also looked at vocabulary, where a word is underlined, and we're supposed to replace that word with with another perfect word that can take its place without changing the meaning of the sentence at all. We also looked at grammatical question, and we said that under the grammatical question, we will be asked mostly about the noun phrase, noun clause, adjectival phrase, adjectival clause, adverbial phrase, adverbial clause. In the next lesson, what we will do is that we will look once again at all of these questions, but we will actually answer them. We will have passages read out to us and put on the screen. We will look at exactly how to answer these types of questions.